A big diplomatic breakthrough has emerged in the Middle East as Israel and Lebanon have signed a US-brokered framework agreement in Washington, which is aimed at laying the foundation for lasting peace and security. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio called it the first step in negotiations. While both the governments have pledged to work towards peaceful relations, the deal comes amid continued clashes between Israeli forces and Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. So with Hezbollah not a party to the agreement, questions still remain over the implementation and the prospects of long-term regional stability. But this deal comes after months of US-brokered direct talks. Israel, though the Israeli troops still continue to be in the Lebanese land.
All the team that you see assembled here today, including the support we got from the Department of War in these conversations. Our ambassador to Lebanon has done a great job, and we're so honored he's here with us today. And our team here, led by Dan Holler, our counselor, our team here at the State Department, did a phenomenal job. If people want to see the value of professional diplomatic work and of diplomacy, that's what the team here has put together, and I'm very proud of what we've done here at this department in bringing this about. As I said, today is the first step. This first step sometimes is the hardest one, but it's an important one and the one we've taken together. And we're very grateful that this has come about and that the timing is such that all of you could cover it and report it back. And hopefully we'll have many more of these conversations and make real and tangible progress so that the people of both of these countries can be hopeful about their future, a future of peace, a future of prosperity, a future of mutual coexistence in a way that's beneficial to the men and women and children, including those not yet born, who deserve what all people deserve, and that is the right to live in their country without fear of harm, without fear of war, without fear of conflict. And that's what we hope to be able to facilitate and achieve. And today we've taken the first step in what will be a difficult journey, without a doubt, but an important and an essential and a necessary one. And we're very proud to be a part of it.
Now, is this the biggest step towards peace in the region? That's the question. But what happens if Hezbollah is not part of the framework? And what happens to the Israeli troops who continue to be in Lebanon? These are the questions that still remain. Joining us on the broadcast is an expert, Matthew Adam, senior journalist. Thank you for joining us. If you can tell us, what is the framework agreement signed by Israel and Lebanon? How does it work? Especially considering that Hezbollah is not a part of this framework. How do you see it proceeding from here?
You know, it's difficult to say how it's going to proceed, but I think that it commits Lebanon to police or take action against Hezbollah and to meet certain goals on a timeline of bringing Hezbollah under control. Now, obviously, Hezbollah is not going to be happy about this proposal, and they're not going to go along with it, and they're not a party to this agreement. So, you know, enforcing it and bringing about peace in Lebanon is far from assured, but I think that the United States and Lebanese governments think that this is at least a step in the right direction so that Israel doesn't have to continue occupying the southern part of a southern portion of their country, and you know, responding to Hezbollah attacks. So, like many things, they're just they're kind of like many peace deals. They're kind of just feeling their way around in the dark, hoping that it will work, because to not do anything is even worse. So they figure that by making these outlines for peace, that they'll be able to actually achieve peace over time, and maybe they will. It's difficult to say. There have been a lot of these proposals over the years in the Middle East, and you know, they generally don't work, especially when you're dealing with Islamic terrorists like Hezbollah, which is sponsored by the Islamic Republic of Iran. So, you know, maybe it will be a positive thing, and maybe it will take some of the pressure off of Israel to have to keep responding to Hezbollah's attacks against them.
Okay, in fact, we have breaking updates now coming in of the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu welcoming the signing of the US-brokered framework agreement between Israel and Lebanon, calling it a big step forward after lengthy negotiations, while both sides have described the deal as a pathway towards lasting peace and enhanced security. Hezbollah remains outside the agreement. And Mr. Matthew, for a long time, even as talks were going on between the United States and Iran, it was agreed that if Lebanon and Israel were a part of these negotiations, it would mean more everlasting peace, more peace in the region. And now that seems to have happened. So the deal needs to be welcomed in a sense that it gives an indication that there is hope of lasting peace in the region, because now you have Israel and Lebanon also coming on board.
Right, and it's important because Lebanon has been, in recent years, largely at the mercy of Hezbollah. It has not been able to control them. It's not a powerful central government in Lebanon. It doesn't have control of all parts of that country. But the fact that it's willing to commit to this peace process, for lack of a better term, is probably a good sign. Though I can't predict whether it's ultimately going to work out in the end.
Okay, all right. We don't know whether it's going to work out or not, but even as the negotiations were going on with Iran, we heard statements from the United States where it went on to say that we will strike if necessary. Those statements continue to come in from the US president. Is it going to be the same in this framework as well? Because Israel has also made it clear, in self-defense, we will continue to attack.
Well, yeah, Israel, I don't know if the United States is going to get involved in Lebanon, if that's what you're suggesting. I doubt it would. Maybe you didn't mean to suggest that, and I was misunderstanding what you were saying. But I think it's very clear Israel is going to continue to defend itself from attacks launched against it by Hezbollah, regardless of pressure from Donald Trump or from, the United States government. Israel, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu sees it as his mission to defend his homeland from existential threats like deadly missile attacks and drone attacks, and Israel is going to defend itself. And some may view that as an obstacle to peace, but Israel is going to protect itself, and it through, even when Donald Trump was putting heavy pressure on Benjamin Netanyahu, Netanyahu refused to give in. And said that Israel is going to continue to defend itself. So I think they're very committed to Israel is very committed to its own survival, and it's not going to give up the fight.
Okay, all right. Do stay with us. In fact, we're told that tensions have resurfaced in the Gulf after the U.S. President Donald Trump accused Iran of violating a recently brokered ceasefire following a reported drone attack in the Strait of Hormuz. In a sharp statement, Trump has claimed that Iranian drones have targeted multiple vessels, with one striking a cargo ship before being intercepted by the U.S. forces. Calling the incident a foolish violation of the agreement, he warned against further escalation even as questions still remain over the truce between the two sides. And Mr. Matthew, does peace in the region now always remain fragile, even if the countries have come on board, even if there are agreements? Will peace in the region always be fragile?
Well, yes. Right now, as long as Iran is committed to its, aggressive treatment of its neighbors, they're going to continue to defy the United States. I have always thought that the U.S. Ceasefire was a terrible idea, that they should finish off Iran. But I'm not in charge. So President Trump decided that it's better to have the ceasefire and to watch the Strait of Hormuz get reopened, and for oil and gasoline prices to go down as a result of it. But yeah, Iran has despite some people's sunny optimistic predictions about Iran or statements about Iran, they remain as committed to aggression and to terrorism as ever before, and they have been consistently defiant throughout the negotiation process for the ceasefire. They're not even. It's not even clear if they're going to abide by the U.S. demand that Iran not charge tolls to fees to vessels such as oil tankers passing through the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. has said, absolutely, you cannot do that. But Iran has said, no, we want to do it. We're working out a deal with Oman to jointly administer the Strait of Hormuz. And that's in direct defiance of American wishes. So Iran has not been humbled. They've been weakened as a result of this militarily, but they have not been humbled. They still want to do what they think they need to do in order to bring about their apocalyptic goals and to keep the dictatorship in power in Tehran.
Okay, do stay with us. I also want to ask you on what you think about who actually won the war. But let's get our viewers this update coming in. The U.S. Central Command forces have conducted strikes against Iran as a powerful response to yesterday's attack on a commercial ship that was transitioning the Strait of Hormuz. That's what the U.S. has said. The U.S. aircraft struck Iranian missile and drone storage locations and coastal radar sites after a vessel was hit by Iran. The Singapore-flagged cargo ship was exiting the Strait of Hormuz, and that's when the attack is said to have taken place. And Mr. Matthew, unfortunately, the Strait of Hormuz is very, very critical for the entire world, for the oil supplies across the world, and yet it continues to be in a position where it comes under attack time and again. And we've seen that happen even now, with U.S. saying that it has struck multiple places within Iran because there was a violation from Iran's side. But as the talks continued, and because Iran has the Strait of Hormuz as a perfect bargaining chip that it has carried for so long now, who do you think has walked away as the victor in the war? Who walked away with more? Is it the United States that ended up losing more, or you think it is Iran that has been weakened?
Well, technically it's a draw because there's an inconclusive result. Neither side won the war. However, one can argue that Iran has come out on top despite all the losses that they've had. They've had a generation of leaders obliterated. They had their Ayatollah killed in the initial round of bombing in February the 28th. Despite all, they had their air force and their navy wiped out. But the fact that they're still existing, means that one could argue, and I don't share this view, but the argument is being made that they won the war, that Iran won the war because they're still standing. And from Iran's perspective, they absolutely did triumph over the United States because they still exist. They are still in power. And, there's that old saying that any day above ground is a good day. So the fact that they are still alive and fighting from the Iranian perspective means that they won. And they certainly have not been acting like humbled, like a humbled, defeated power. They have been acting quite confidently, even arrogantly, in their statements about what they plan to do. It's as if they haven't even acknowledged that they've suffered losses. They're acting as if they're just as powerful as before, and they're going to use this time, unfortunately, that the memorandum of understanding is given them, and let's assume it's not even going to be the final MOU. Okay, it may be extended. Who knows if they're going to get all this done in 60 days? That's a lot to talk about in 60 days, especially with an adversary as slippery as the Iranians. They're going to rearm. They're going to rebuild their military, their military ordnance stockpiles. They're thinking and they're plotting, and they're not giving up. So from the Iranian perspective, they won. I think from the American perspective, it's a draw.
Okay, all right.
You ask Donald Trump, he'll say that he won.
Okay. So Trump was very clear that it will be a very good deal. Only then will the United States agree. I'm not sure if it has worked out like that. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast. With that, very quick break. We'll be right back with lots more. Stay with us.